speak in this bill. Vulnerable children have been treated terribly by this state, and it's a dark mark against this government and the previous government. There are many good things in this particular bill. There are bad things there also, so I want to go into detail on them. When it comes to child protection and child welfare, there's no doubt that we absolutely have to get better in terms of inter-agency communication and cooperation. And there also needs to be transparency around data as well. We in AIM2 have raised this issue in this chamber over and over again, and we've raised the individual reports produced by the National Review Panel on the deaths of children in state care, and some of the observations of the NRP and Dr Helen Buckley. These reports are harrowing, and there are serious gaps in the level of interagency communication, but also internally between different geographical Tusla units. Certain areas are not communicating with each other at all, and these gaps are resulting in the deaths of children at the moment. And I'm thinking, for instances, where CAMHs have refused to accept children who are referred to them by Tusla simply because CAMHs does not have a policy in terms of accepting children who use drugs or alcohol. Hugh was 16, and he died from a drug overdose after CAMHs told Tusla they wouldn't take him. Niamh was another child under Tusla's care. She died at the age of 15 by suicide. She too was deemed ineligible by CAMHs. Another report about a girl called Ava under Tusla's care showed how she disclosed sexual abuse, but nobody from Tusla spoke to her because in the Tusla area that she was in, they assumed that a social worker in the area where the alleged abuser lived was speaking to her. She was discharged from CAMHs after a mere 2 appointments, and her body was found a few days later. She was 14 years old. So an interagency committee, which is to be set up under the legislation, is welcome, but it has an enormous amount to do. There's little joined-up work happening between different agencies, officials, basically are passing children from Billy to Jack, and those children are falling through the cracks, and they're being left with no supports, abandoned to the point where I am reading the details of the findings of the inquests of their deaths. And that has been the result of government actions, of huge issues with this bill and how it deals with separated children or migrant children, young people in aftercare and child leavers, or care leavers, I should say. The former Ombudsman for Children, Dr Niall Muldoon, asked a specific provision be made in this legislation for unaccompanied children. Children who are placed into voluntary care require parental consent for that to happen. Provision must be made for those children who are orphans or who are in this country alone without their parents to ensure that their rights are protected in the care system. We can't continue to accommodate these children under Section 5 of the Child Care Act. It's outdated and it creates effectively a 2-tier system in relation to children's rights. When unaccompanied children don't get allocated a social worker and they don't get allocated a care plan, that's a major difficulty. I also think we need to do better in terms of birth mothers in the legislation in this country. A number of women, and it's primarily women, who ring my office to air grievances that they have at Tusla. Birth mothers whose children have been taken into care feel aggrieved by the processes. There doesn't seem to be the proper structure to support systems for such mothers, no fair means through which they can air their grievances, no psychological supports, an in-camera rule that leaves them terrified to speak about their experiences, and in some cases afraid that they are breaking the law just by talking to myself, by talking to the Gardaí, or afraid that Tusla will come after the remaining children if they criticise Tusla. The free legal aid system is not fit for purpose in how it treats birth mothers. Many of them have really long and complex stories to tell. When one of these mothers ring my office, I know it's going to take hours just to go through all the issues that they have to discuss. But the free legal aid that they're provided is 5 minutes with a barrister before a court case. We need to have a strengthening of parental rights also, procedural fairness and independent oversight, and this is what birth mothers are looking for. I want to talk about the recent report into Child Law Project. The details of that report are shocking, very alarming and very sad. We know that we have a crisis in Tusla in terms of child protection. We've seen multiple cases in recent times where children have gone missing from care, where Tusla did not know where they were, where children were killed while under the care of Tusla, when a child was raped under the care of Tusla. These are really horrendous details in this report. One case involves a mother who was sold to a man who sexually abused her, and she was found with her baby on the side of the road by a passerby who called the Gardaí. We aim to have consistently raised these issues, particularly in relation to the number of children not assigned a social worker. We've been also very outspoken about the scandal of human trafficking in this country, and for a long time I've been the only voice in this Dáil raising these issues. That has to change. We need a full debate in relation to the crisis in Tusla.